All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army, episode 2.208. We got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to start out with headlines where we got U.S. men's national team news, Women's World Cup, and El Clasico craziness. Then weekly what if, Wrexham versus Tottenham. Premier League, London Town is falling down. Final table predictions and City Arsenal preview of the biggest game of the season, and I'm sure if Mikey was here, he would say his life. Rest of world, we got MLS Minute, US Open Cup shoutouts, and Champions League, plus a quick little look at the Bundesliga, and then stoppage time with Ivan Toney's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now it is time to welcome in this week's distinguished panel of beauties. Looks like for a minute we're going to have the whole crew here, but we got a last minute scratch in Mikey. So still got a great crew, of course. First up, we got Tyler Terrence, fresh off calling NYC versus Dallas in NYC. And everybody knows what New York's all about. So I'm not going to ask you the question that I've been asking you every week. You know, what's the best and worst about your trip? I'm going to switch it up here and say, how much do you, as a commentator, hate Earth Day games where you basically everybody looks the exact same and they're not wearing a normal jersey color? How much do you hate that?
You know something? I thought you were going to ask me how much I make before taxes originally, so I'm glad that this was the question instead of that. Okay, so first of all, we're calling the game at Citi Field on a baseball field, right? You're behind home plate, and the game's being played in the outfield. Quite literally 400 feet away if they're attacking one side of the goal. And I'm struggling to call or to choose whether I want to watch the monitor or watch the game. And on top of that, all these motherfuckers are wearing the same color jersey and not the normal stuff that I'm used to seeing. And player identification from our standpoint, it is a fantastic initiative. Do not get me wrong, anybody from MLS, if you're watching, I love the kids. They're fantastic. I love what we're trying to do with them. But strictly for me, for the only two people at each game who cared, it disrupts my rhythm in terms of being able to pick out guys because of how their colored kits match up against their hair and their boots and so many different little things that I'm subconsciously picking up on to be able to identify players. It was a nightmare. I hated it, but love the cause. We're all about it. Yeah.
Well done. Well done. I thought I was going to maybe be able to paint you into a corner there with, hating Earth Day and loving fossil fuels, but you know what? You did a pretty good job. Diplomatic, as always. Next up, we got Tommy McGunner back from his business trip to Sacramento, where he gave the Republic a hard battle, but offense, you guys are going to score a goal at some point, but have you thought, this is your question here, have you guys thought about pulling the move? Who was it? Tony Sperano, who was the interim coach of the Oakland Raiders. He took a ball and he literally buried it in the ground as a way of forgetting the past and focusing on the future and maybe scoring some points. Have you thought about doing something drastic to really just sort of get your offense going?
Well, we play on turf, so I find it really hard to
you could find okay, god damn it.
And part of me doesn't want to dig up keyword and see what's under there because
Jimmy Offa
might be a whole lot worse than a soccer ball underneath that field. Yeah, that might not be a bad idea. Some sort of like satanic ritual or something. I don't know. It worked for Phil Jackson too, so
yeah, you guys got to do something.
I think that there's oil underneath there, and I think that if you guys dig, you'll hit it, and then Detroit City will literally buy their way into be the first American team to buy their way into Champions League.
There is like that would be pretty cool. There is a Ford plant and like an old railroad that are like right behind the stadium, and there's an old Negro League stadium right across the street. So there's something deep in that ground, so it might not be a bad idea. There's something historic there that's worth money.
You guys got to look into this. You got to get some goals somehow, and I think that might be the way to do it. Last, never least, Mitchell Goulet, aka Overtime Mitch, rocking the Gremio kit, loving that. Your question, and I feel like I may be doubling back. Maybe I might have asked you this at some point, but has the thought crossed your mind anytime recently that the Boston Celtics, Boston Bruins, and Arsenal might all win the title this year? Has it crossed your mind?
Let's toss the New England Revolution in there too. Yes, yeah, very much so. I come from a city of champions, though, so this is nothing new to me. I've experienced a lifetime of championships, so it's nice, but it's, act like you've been there before. New York goes up 3-1 in a series and shuts down an entire 7th Avenue. Grow up. Grow up. Yeah.
First of all,
Yeah.
fuck you. Second of all, I was there. I was there. I was shutting down 7th Avenue. Okay. I was there on Friday night. Place was lit. Okay. You know something? Friday night was the first full capacity playoff game that the Garden has experienced in 10 years. Do you know how long that is? And listening to you fucking puff your chest out because you found yourself in a very fortuitous cyclical of sports fandom. Okay. Like, it's all cyclical. My grandfather grew up watching Mets, Jets, all winning championships, and now we don't for 40 years. But you know something? Fuck you. That was uncalled for, and we're off to a really good start. You can nod your head all you want, but the fact of the matter is, Arsenal ain't fucking winning the Prem this year.
We'll dive into that. I am winning 2 championships this year. That's it.
Okay. All right.
That's
all right.
it.
Listen,
I'll bet you right now that you make none. You make none.
0. Anybody want to take 1?
0.
Mitch, has it crossed your mind? So it's crossed your mind that all 4?
Oh yeah, plenty.
Has it crossed your mind that 0 could win?
Yeah, it has, but I mean, wishful thinking is a powerful thing. I see at least the most set in stone to me is the Bruins. The Bruins are a record-setting team this year. Boston Celtics look like a championship team. Let me tell you.
You sound like a naive sports fan when you say that a championship in the first round of any of these playoff series.
Says the guy celebrating after going 3-1 up in a playoffs, the first playoff series. I'm not naive. I know what a championship feels like.
You can act like you've been there before all you want, but for people like me, I've never been there before, ever, with any of my teams.
We got room on the bandwagon. It's not too late.
I love it. I love it. I mean, as somebody who's a fan of the St. Louis Cardinals, Green Bay Packers, Tottenham, I guess we'll throw Chicago Fire in there. Listen, I'm not going to be seeing any championships anytime soon either, so I'm not really going to talk here. Let's head to headlines, where we will start here at home. So The Athletic, I believe, was the first one to break the story. They are reporting that U.S. Soccer is close to naming Matt Crocker as the next sporting director. He'd be taking over for Ernie Stewart. Crocker comes from Southampton, where he was, essentially the sporting director there from 2006 through 2013. Then he had a stint at the FA for about 7 years, and then he went back to Southampton. So let's go to you, Tommy. Let's go to you first on this. What's your initial reaction to Matt Crocker as the next sporting director?
I like it. I think people obviously thought it came out of left field because everyone was expecting some sort of American or someone with history in the American leagues or whatever. But yeah, I think you look at his track record and the success he's had with nations or clubs and kind of linking the youth pathway to the professional pathway on England's and Southampton's level. The track record has been great. So I think as an American soccer fan who, I think a lot of people love looking at, okay, who's the next person that's coming up from the youth national teams and is going to break into the first team. I think from that standpoint and kind of creating more of an identity through the system, I think it's exciting, but it's probably one of those that's a boring, exciting pick kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe. Listen, it's sporting director, right? The manager is the name that's going to be sexy. Everybody hopes anyway. I don't need a sexy sporting director. So people who haven't been following the Premier League for, say, 10 years or something, you probably, or 15, maybe even 20 years, you might not know that Southampton was, for a long while, they were the standard as far as the academy goes. I know there's other teams that have sort of overtaken them. But so he was there when Gareth Bale came through, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Luke Shaw, James Ward-Prowse. There was other guys that have come through Southampton that didn't necessarily come through Sadio Mane and Virgil van Dijk. They didn't come through the academy though. So he's been there through some serious success stories. What sort of hit me was two things off the bat. and this is before we get to the Jesse Marsh related stuff. So two things, one positive, one negative. I thought it was great that US Soccer, assuming that this goes through, is taking somebody from outside their small circle. Like there's been a lot of that lately, and that has caused problems. So I whether that, the whole Reina's situation played into the fact that they, reacted and got somebody from outside, I don't know, but I like that. I like that he's from, outside the circle of normal or traditional candidates. But then on the other side is you hear a lot of criticism for basically the same thing, and he doesn't know the unique U.S. soccer ecosystem. So I don't know, Mitch, where do you come down on the pluses and negatives here?
I'm not going to profess to know too much about him or his work, but I do like the outside pick. And I think that negative of he doesn't know the system and he's not all that familiar with US soccer as an organization, you can look at that as a good thing if you choose to as well. It's a fresh face, it's a new mind coming at things, and it's a new approach to development top to bottom. I think that's a good thing. I can see why people wouldn't, but I'm excited. Like you said, I don't think we need a sexy name to be sporting director. So based on his resume thus far, and I don't know, people seem to have a positive reaction to it. I'm into it.
Yeah, Tyler, anything to add here? All right. Well, we'll see how it goes. Well, last thing we got to talk about this is the Jesse Marsh connection. So, Jesse, I believe I'm sort of reading everything secondhand here, but it sounds like Crocker was involved with trying to bring him to Southampton recently. So then the speculation is that he will obviously perhaps be interested in bringing Jesse Marsh to the U.S. men's national team. Any thoughts on that one, Tyler?
I don't know. I go to somebody else first. Let me create
about it a little
here.
bit. Yeah. Mitch?
I don't know. I haven't thought about that all that much. I kind of mentally blocked out Jesse Marsh from U.S. men's national team coaching job after we talked about it a couple weeks ago. It just kind of, I don't know. I left the conversation thinking we could find someone better. But if it happens, I don't think I'd be upset. But I can based on the connection, yeah, I can see it happening.
Yeah. I mean, there's a huge gulf in terms of what Greg Berhalter was getting paid. I'm sort of, I can't remember. I think it was like 1.7 or something a year, whereas top coaches are getting paid. There's another zero on that, number. So how much money Matt Crocker has to work with will be a big question. We don't really know. You got to think though that he's going to be able to look forward to some huge revenues from the World Cup. I think Copa America is coming here, so that should be some extra money there. So again, I don't really care who's the sporting director. I think he's got a good track record. I saw some, critics on Twitter. Imagine that, people on Twitter hating on something. First time I've ever seen that. But they, basically they were saying, well, Southampton's academy has gone downhill, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he wasn't there for 7 years. So who knows on that. By the way, Tommy, you actually pointed out the fact that his pedigree is not just Southampton. He's got the Brighton guy who's taken.
Yeah, so he's at the English FA for a while, and people that have followed Brighton and Newcastle lately, the sporting director or director of football, CEO, or whatever the role is, was Dan Ashworth, who, along with I think Matt Crocker and a couple others, created this new identity pathway for the English FA to kind of recreate their image on the global level. And then he went to Brighton and Newcastle more recently. And I think those are like everyone's second favorite club right now with the way they're playing and the talent that they have. And I think him, Dan Ashworth, the guy that I'm sure has been a mentor, someone who Matt Crocker's learned from, has been the guy behind all of that.
Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think that this is just sort of an interim thing. First of all, it's not official, but once it's official, again, it's sporting director. Nobody really cares. It really matters who the coach is, and we don't know what that means for Jesse Marsh. So we'll stay tuned. I'm sure we'll talk about it again soon.
I think we should we not care a little bit about who the sporting director is?
Yeah, no, I mean, I care, but like, I'm going to care a lot more about the coach, basically.
I think,
Really?
I'll be honest, I think this role is more important than who the coach is.
Agreed.
I mean, maybe, but how are you going to, we're not going to see him out there. We don't really know what to judge him on.
Yeah, but
he'll most likely get 2 to 3 coaches,
yeah,
depending on how this goes, which means potentially 2.5 cycles. If let's say he lasts anywhere from 2 to 4 years, that's important, man. This guy's like,
of course it's important, but there's nothing for us to just basically measure him on or judge him on. Like, his pedigree, as far as I'm concerned, is
this
good.
is a game. The reason I didn't say anything off of what Tommy and Mitch said is because I agreed with everything they're saying. The only thing I'd add now is that it is a gamble at the end of the day. Like, even though this is an outside pick and it's somebody who, we've talked about that a lot in terms of like trying to find, the diamond in the rough, maybe in somebody who's gradually and clearly proved at different stops and at different levels that they've been able to succeed and accomplish something within that. But yeah, I think that getting this guy, given what he's done and what his roles have been at the clubs and what their philosophies has been, I think he could be gone in a year and a half, or I think he could be here for like the next 15 years.
Yeah. I think it's like England now, when that hire is made, you're seeing consistency at the youth and first team level. You could look at Germany 10 years ago, Spain 10 years ago. A lot of these big federations that everyone sees as these global powers really did like a full revamp audit of their whole system. And it's risky to do that, and it pays off. And we, like, in 10 years time, you could look at that and say, it's not down to the coach, it's down to this hire here, if it's successful, obviously.
Yeah. Perhaps my wording was lazy, but basically I care. It's just as important, maybe more important, to get the sporting director right, but I'm going to care more when they get the coach, because that's who I'm going to sort of see out there, who's going to be making the rosters and the 11s and everything like that. So
you'll be able to meme the coach much more than you will.
Yes, exactly. From a content creator perspective, that's where it's at.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Now we're on the same page. All right, let's go on to number 2. In a surprise move, U.S. Soccer announced plans to, or I don't know if they officially announced this or if it's just sort of leaked out, but the U.S. Soccer is apparently planning to make a joint bid with Mexico to host the 2027 Women's World Cup. The initial thought was that they were going to be focused on 2031, but they accelerated that timetable. And what that means is that the U.S. will be hosting the 2026 World Cup with Canada and Mexico, allegedly. 2027 will be hosting maybe the Women's World Cup with Mexico. And then 2028, we will be hosting the Olympics in Los Angeles. So those are 3 huge soccer tournaments on our home soil. And by the way, we might be hosting Copa America in 2024. So I don't think we really have much else to say other than that would be awesome. Like, I couldn't be more excited about sort of top quality soccer here in our backyard, where people can go watch them, not tune in to TV at 3 a.m. or 9 a.m. or wherever the hell, depending on Qatar or Australia or wherever the tournaments are. So I'm extremely excited about that. And shout out to U.S. Soccer, who I know gets a lot of shit, but I like that new plan for that from them. So well done. I give them a round of applause. Finally, last headline. Oh man, this is a weird one. So Barcelona and Real Madrid, right? This beef goes back ages and ages and ages. This last week, this had to have been sort of the weirdest Twitter beef from like official accounts that I can never remember. I honestly can't remember just a bigger one, a weirder one, a wilder one. So it started out with Barcelona's president, who, they're out there trying to defend themselves from, this whole ref bribing allegations and all that. And Barcelona's president, who, is not a shrinking violet, he went on, it did like a press conference or whatever. I think he does these like on a weekly basis, but this one, he went off on some tangents, one of which was basically defending Barcelona and the allegations that they were bribing refs back in the day, or a few years ago, by saying that Real Madrid was the favorite club of the Franco dictatorship back in the, whatever, from the 50s to the 70s, which was like a fascist regime that, there were a lot of people who went, they got disappeared. So then Real Madrid, from their official Twitter account, I don't know if it was on Instagram as well, but the Twitter accounts, both their Spanish language and their English language, responded the next day by putting out a 1.5-minute long video, basically saying that, using all sorts of, old clips and all this, basically suggesting that Barcelona was the club that was, favored most by the Franco regime. And to me, this did not get anywhere near as much attention as I thought it was going to get. Like, this is so crazy to me that they're on official channels. There's these two clubs with a historical rivalry, obviously, but they're accusing each other of like being, tied closer to this, fascist regime that had hundreds of thousands of people disappear. It's so crazy. I can't even wrap my head around this being real. I guess it's just 2023 and maybe this is normalized, but I don't know. Any thoughts from any of you guys on whether I'm just am I wrong on this, or is it this bananas?
This is beyond the United Nations and Terrence's reach. This is
our political correspondent taking a step back. That's not a good sign.
Come on, you're the guy for global policy on this podcast. We need that.
Listen, if Tucker Carlson isn't going to be on the air right now, then I'm not going to be on the air. All right.
Standing Tucker, in solidarity, are you?
Yeah, you and Tucker, you and Don Lemon, all going taking a breather. Okay, Mitch, any thoughts? Just am I blowing this out of proportion, or is it that crazy?
No, it's I'd call it weird over crazy. The whataboutism is just
off the charts.
Feels like it's also between a president and then the dude that runs Twitter, who
he definitely got okayed from the top.
Yeah, they did. You said English and Spanish language accounts, so there was some communication there. It's weird. I think it's fun. It's not fun, but like it doesn't affect me. It was a fascist regime, but from before my parents were born. Like I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm gonna sit back and watch the girls argue on Twitter all I want. It is interesting though. I can't draw any parallel to any other sports league or franchise with that kind of. I mean, you don't see anybody in the Bundesliga throwing rocks in glass houses, so.
Right, like
an interesting choice from both of them.
You don't see a lot of Il Duce, he preferred you guys. I haven't seen that. I will say I have as a student of history, and I say that completely sarcastically. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about here, but I have seen a lot of insinuations or suggestions online over the years that Real Madrid was definitely like the favorite child, the favorite club of the regime. Maybe this is just like they've been sitting. Maybe that's not true. I don't know. I have no idea, and I'm not going to make a value judgment not knowing a goddamn thing about a goddamn thing. Tyler, you're going to step in, but maybe Real Madrid just had enough, and they're just like, you know what, this is bullshit. We're going to come back over the top.
All I heard from this whole thing was that Mitch thinks fascism is fun. That's all I heard.
Okay. That's a good conclusion. I think we just leave it at that. By the way, if I'm just going to take a wild shot in the dark, which I should never do, I do think that Barcelona was probably right historically, but the fact that the Barcelona president came out and used this as a defense of them perhaps bribing refs is maybe the craziest part about this whole goddamn story. It's just, there's so many layers of ridiculousness to it. Let's just move on. All right, weekly what if time. I had to bring this up. It's not going to be very clever because somebody else put it out there. I think a lot of people have been talking about it, but I had to get your guys' takes on this in light of the horrible, no good, very bad weekend that Tottenham had. And the congratulations to Wrexham. They're going up into league football in the EFL. So the big question that I've seen bandied around on the internet the last couple of days, if you had to put your money on one team to win the Premier League first, would it be Wrexham or would it be Tottenham? Tyler, I know you look like you got something ready to go here.
Yeah, you're a fucking idiot.
For asking the question, I'm just asking the question here.
Yeah, because one team
the
has to get
messenger?
promoted thrice before even considering it.
Come on, man. I know you're having a rough week. Just
The whole
Come on.
point of me asking this question is because it's such a stupid question, and people were entertaining it online as if it
I
was
think
like
there was
a
a moment
real
that
question.
there was a moment you were entertaining it in your head too.
Hell no.
Yeah.
No, do people understand how far Wrexham has to go right now and how much money they're going to have to, plug into this? Like, I know that Ryan Reynolds is
Momentum.
extremely rich.
Can I humble brag for a second?
Okay.
Ryan Reynolds put me in the interview that I did with Ben Foster on his Instagram story, and he said it made him weep. So I think I'm going to take Wrexham's side in this argument, just because I think I'm a Ryan Reynolds and Wrexham fan now.
Hey, you're unbiased, so I guess that makes a lot of sense there. But listen, I know Ryan Reynolds is rich, like richer than we even understand. Like, he sold that Mint Mobile thing. He's like talking about maybe becoming an owner of a hockey team. Which,
got the gin there.
Yeah, he's got. Listen, the guy is living the life. By the way, Rob McElhenney, he's obviously not in the poorhouse either. Although I don't think he is, approaching billionaire status. But Wrexham, to get to, even where Southampton, where they are, which is quite a few steps below Tottenham. That's not a humble brag. That's just fact. Like, there is so much that would have to happen, and so many sort of things would have to come together, including bringing people in that are willing to invest billions of dollars, like a Todd Bowley. Granted, maybe McElhenney and Reynolds know everybody, which I guess that's a possibility. But I still think it's just such a stupid question. And so I guess really what happened is I got tagged on so many tweets and Instagram, comments about this that I just got so fed up. And I said, fuck it. I'm just going to talk about it on the podcast instead of bringing it up on this thing. It's so stupid. This question is so asinine, and I hate everybody for asking me it and bringing me in on it. I don't really hate you. I love you all, but please, God, do not tag me on any more of those stupid ass questions about Wrexham.
What about you for making us spend time on it? What do you think?
This was just a labor of love for me. This was a selfish tangent. So I appreciate you guys going on it with me. Thank you. All right. We'll get back to some actual weekly what ifs next week. But let's head to happier things. The Premier League. Oh boy. I think these first two that we got to talk about, both being North London related, are connected. Let's start with Arsenal and then we'll get to Tottenham. So, Arsenal, you guys had your first St. Tottenham's Day in 7 or 8 years. And I mean, you kind of ruined it, or they kind of ruined it for you. That's what it really is. The team ruined it for the fans. Obviously, that day is really for the fans. They ruined it with a crazy game. As an unbiased or neutral party, which I absolutely am not, that game was awesome. That was so much fun. But yeah, Arsenal fans can't be too happy. So 3-3 draw, just crazy game. I guess, Tommy, start with you. What I don't know. What are your sort of thoughts on the game and how jubilant were you about St. Tottenham's Day?
I didn't give one thought to St. Tottenham's Day.
I love that.
You backdoored that one this year.
I know it's so, we
I don't even know where to start with the game. I mean, you have to start with like the first
beginning
of the game. Like, what the fuck?
Was it even a minute into the game? It was like
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
I think 32. But yeah, I don't know. Like I was done. I was like, shit, it's over. It's done. I said it last week too. Like, it seems very similar to last year. Like, everyone's looking at those 4 games, those tough games that are going to decide their season, and you slip up before you even get to those games, kind of thing. But there's still like that glimmer of hope because they get the tie. Like, I actually think that point mathematically mattered
a lot.
A lot. Like, it keeps a draw somewhat in play. on Wednesday. So, I mean, there's that. Plus, when you get 8 minutes of stoppage time and you score 2 in 2 minutes, I was sure that they were going to win it.
I was too.
I will say,
dead sure.
Southampton was quite good in the first half. I thought they were amazing in extra time at killing the time and momentum just by lying on the ground, faking injuries, kicking the shit out of the ball, substitutions. Like they killed all sorts of momentum with that. So
they needed to. They needed to go full
that.
CONCACAF.
If they didn't pull out the whole bag of tricks, I think Arsenal would have scored.
I'm shocked you didn't.
But if they didn't bring out that whole bag of tricks, there wouldn't have been 8 minutes of extra time. That's their own bed that they made.
But even in extra time, they were doing that.
Yeah, and it extended even further. And if we had put one in, then we would be singing a completely different song right now. But the fact that there was 8 minutes is largely due to their shenanigans during that second half, which you have to do. Like, it's your responsibility as Southampton to do. But that's also a direct relation to how much time was left and us being able to score those too late.
Yeah. So, you guys went down 0-2. We were on WhatsApp. We were WhatsApping at the time. You went down 2-0. The second one being from Theo Walcott, which
that one hurt. That one we felt
that was amazing.
That was a great goal too.
Beautiful ball, good run. I mean, you can't take anything away from it, but it hurt.
But then you scored in the 88th and 90th to draw level. And as I said before, I was convinced you were gonna. I mean, like I'd seen that movie before. You'd done it to too many teams, and I thought it was gonna. And you actually, there was a shot that somebody got a foot on. It was the 96th minute or something that I thought was going in.
It was Jesus. He had a couple where he took too many touches. Tries to take it down with his chest, then his knee, then juggle, then shoot. It's like, do it in one touch, man.
So basically, long story short, they ruined St. Tottenham's Day for you guys. And then Tottenham went and ruined the fun of Arsenal ruining St. Tottenham's Day by one-upping you. And that game against Newcastle, the first 21 minutes was, I mean, we looked like a pub league team. I don't know what the hell was going on. Obviously, Stellini, who has been sent packing immediately, clearly was just not up for the job, which is on Levy to begin with, by the way. But I keep telling myself that 21 minutes is, first of all, I've said we've hit rock bottom several times over the course of the season. If we somehow find a new rock bottom after those 21 minutes, holy shit, something has gone way off the rails. Because I was like watching the game on my phone. I was changing a diaper that had shit in it. I was getting shit on my hand. I was watching the game, and there was all these goals going in, and it was like, this is my life. This is my life right now. Shit, nothing but shit everywhere, on my hands, on the table, on my phone, in my phone, happening on the screen of my phone. It was just shit everywhere, and it was the worst situation. My life can't get lower than that. And from a soccer perspective, that was it. That's rock bottom. If we go lower than that, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I don't know where that would be. But this is my way of saying that I think, putting a positive spin on this, that 21 minutes, first of all, it forced Levy to make changes immediately, which he should have done, weeks ago, if not months ago. Stellini's gone. He's obviously not up for it. Ryan Mason stepping in. He probably is at least better than Stellini in terms of, he knows the club. He's been there for years and years and years. Hopefully, I keep seeing these Nagelsmann rumors. We can get into the rumors about, Chelsea as well, which make me even sad. Somehow almost as sad as the shit being everywhere. But if Nagelsmann comes, and if that's somehow we get Nagelsmann out of this, like Levy ponies up for Nagelsmann, that 21 minutes of absolute shitty hell will have been worth it. That's what I keep telling myself. It's definitely a dream, a pipe dream probably. But yeah, this team's terrible. We're awful. They're awful. I'm trying to think of I would have said, okay, I think I did say this last week. Give the keys of the castle to Kane. Let him just give him the Mbappe deal. He can just pick the rest of the team. He can pick the board. He can pick whatever. I would be down with that. So I would keep Kane. I would have said Romero, but he was one of the worst players on the field. So, like, I don't even know who I would want to keep if we could keep anyone. I just want to get rid of the entire team, start over, burn it down, keep the stadium, keep Kane. That's it. Everybody else can get the fuck out. I don't know. We suck. I'm out of steam. I'm out of gas. Somebody want to take over?
So
This is fun.
yeah, no, this is I love this part of the podcast. How do you feel about United? You said you couldn't get any lower. Are you bouncing back, or is it 7-1?
Oh no, we're not bouncing back. No, God, no. We're getting smacked by United. I mean, the fact they've lost, they got a bunch of injuries they're dealing with is our only, saving grace. We suck. We're terrible. I said it last week that I think we had no shot at top 4. I would take Aston Villa over us. I would take Newcastle. I'd take Brighton, Liverpool. And now I guess I'd fucking throw in like Palace and fucking whoever the hell else is in the mid-table, because we're terrible. This is a terrible team. They're in a terrible headspace. I have no faith that they have like the heart to bounce back from anything at this point. Like, you talk about like, oh, Conte, sort of kind of shit on them and hurt their confidence after probably Mourinho did the same thing. Fuck that. I don't buy that. I'm not convinced this team has the heart to bounce back, and I just think the whole squad needs to be overhauled. So yeah, I don't think we're gonna. If we don't win another game for the rest of the season, I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't be shocked.
You'll stumble into a couple of wins just because of the quality on the team.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that 7th or 8th is probably about where we belong, and maybe we'll get it. But yeah, we suck.
Your schedule is not easy. United, Liverpool away, Palace, Villa away, Brentford, and then Leeds away on the last day. Those are not easy.
Yeah, when they need points, yeah, it's not great. It's not great. I mean, again, if we don't win another game, I would not be shocked. I would rather finish 8th and 7th by a million miles. No need for like some sort of Eastern, European bullshit on Thursday to distract us and whatever else. Finish 8th, get us out of Europe, do a hard reset on the team, let Nagelsmann run that, or Luis Enrique, and just totally reboot the team, because we need it. This team is a fucking clusterfuck, clown show, dumpster fire, and yeah, I'm tired of it. I'll be watching them, but I'm tired of it. Oh, by the way, Newcastle is good. Like, they're also good. We should at least give them some credit.
No, I just heard you ranting about how bad your team is. Now you're going to give the other team all the credit. No, they played against.
I'm not giving them all the credit. I'm just saying that they
played against the shit side. Come on, what are we talking about?
They did, of course they did. But look at where they are at the table. They're a good team, and they took a couple of those goals well. Hugo Lloris. I mean, if we keep going long enough, I'm just going to keep throwing players under the bus one by one here. But like Hugo Lloris, he's been a soldier for us forever, and he needs to go to the glue factory like 3 years ago.
Hugo Lloris has been bad, like not good, bad since the 2018 World Cup. Like,
he's had some glimmers here and there, but like that game against Newcastle,
he's had the luxury of a great French defense in front of him internationally, and then a good team in Spurs since then. But like, he's not a top keeper, top 5 keeper in the league. I think he's had that job for a really long time, and it feels convenient to keep him there.
Is he better than Ben Foster?
Oh, no. Ben! Oh, come on! Ben just came out of retirement.
No.
Do you mean Fraser Foster?
Wait, Fraser Foster?
Fraser or Ben Foster?
Ben.
He's better than Ben Foster. No disrespect.
Can Ben wear a GoPro during the game? Because if so, it's Ben Foster by a mile.
Listen, Hugo is. I mean, he's smallish for a keeper, and when you get to his age, you're gonna lose some springiness. And I love him. He's done great things for the club, but the time it has come and passed. So yeah, but he's not the only one. Let's just be honest. This whole team is shit right now. They need a whole overhaul. I'm sad. Funny thing about listen, if we keep staying on this topic, I'm going to keep throwing new things out there. But like the funny thing
You
about
keep staying on this
I
topic.
know this Stellini, he actually went to the 4-back system that like fans had been calling for weeks, and then that's what happened. We got absolutely, murdered by Newcastle for 5 goals in 21 minutes. Okay, anyway, goodbye, Christian Stellini. I'll always remember you for the when we beat Brighton. That was your high moment. We got absolutely worked at home by Brighton, came away with 3 points, and that was your crowning achievement for Tottenham. So thank you for that. Any other results before we go to power rankings, which we're switching up this week? Any other results? I mean, like there was. Should we talk quickly about FA Cup? Yeah,
They were pretty fucking boring, but
yeah, the United game was certainly. Yeah, so basically, City just sort of did what they do, and manhandled Sheffield United, and then United basically eked out a win against Brighton on penalties. So now we got a Manchester derby in the FA Cup, which is, I mean, that's kind of cool. But yeah, I guess that's really all I got to say about that. Anybody else? Yeah. All right. Well, we might get into a little bit more on the power ranking. So this is the time of the year where we're switching power rankings. We're not doing the, if they played on neutral field and all that. Right now, we're switching it up. We go with final predictions for the season. Where do we got people finishing? 1 through 4, and then 17, well, not 17, 18, 19, and 20 at the bottom of the table, who's getting sent packing. So let's go with the top of the table, and let's start with Tommy.
one, fuck you for doing this 2 days before Wednesday.
Yeah, seriously.
That was all planned. I'll go Arsenal, City, Newcastle, and I think United, even though like I don't want to pick United. I'd like to have like a sexier pick like Villa or Brighton. And I think, but yeah, it's probably gonna be United.
Aston Villa and Brighton play each other on the final match day of the season.
That could, I think that's, I was thinking of that. I think that's for 5th.
Yeah, they've got a tough run in too. Brighton does. So they play, I mean, Everton obviously is not so great, but they've got United, they got Arsenal, they got Newcastle, Man City, Villa. So Brighton's got a tough run in as well. Okay, so you got
that's the worst run in maybe in the Premier League for the last 5 games.
Yeah. Ross, yeah. I don't think Villa's is too easy either. I will say if you playing relegation teams right now, it's not
what you want.
Not an easy game.
Yeah, you want the Palaces of the world.
Yeah,
you don't want the Leeds or the Forests. Okay, so you got Arsenal, City, Newcastle, United.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that's what the bookies. Well, bookies have City up top.
Bookies
yeah, bookies definitely.
They might have United at 3rd because they have a game in hand. But
okay, all right, Tyler, you want to go next?
I think you just City, Arsenal, United, Newcastle.
No Liverpool?
No.
You say it so matter of factly.
We don't deserve that. We don't deserve that shit.
That's true.
If we end up getting in, it's because we did what we're supposed to be doing or what we should have been doing for the entirety of the season leading up to this point, and somebody has a biblical collapse. We don't deserve it.
9 points in 7 games is tough.
Very tough.
Your run-in is not actually that bad. You got.
I don't know about who we're playing because we have proven we can beat anybody in the fucking league. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
We can lose to Southampton. We can beat City. We're all over the place. We're Arsenal.
Yeah. Of other years. By the way, that game against Forest was way more entertaining than I was expecting this weekend. Way more entertaining than it had any right to be, I think. Okay, so you have City Arsenal, whereas Tommy had Arsenal City. And then you followed suit, Newcastle United. Okay.
Yeah.
Mitchell?
I'm still. Can I also just throw it in there that this is I said this is fun earlier because now another team, another fan base, and the rest of the Premier League world will get to see just exactly what City are, which are machines. And I'm glad that Tommy and Mitch are sort of succumbing to the inevitable.
Tommy has
it's
not for Tommy's fighting it based on his top four.
No, that's a very weak. It's an academic fight. It's not a fight that really has any punch behind it. I know both of you have already given up on this. I see it in your eyes. I see it in the way that you talk now about this team. It is over, and I'm glad that you now can all recognize it, and we can all sort of enjoy and endure this time together, knowing that we're a great team, but they're just on a different planet. So
thank you. Thank you.
I've always
Thank
been
you for saying that.
I've been a man of reason, so it hasn't changed when we sucked or when we were top of the league and flying, and now when we've stuttered. I've always been a man of reason, so that won't change.
Listen,
Misery loves company. Damn.
Arsenal not winning the title is the only thing in my life as a soccer fan I have going for me. It's the only thing. That's the only possible joy I have left this season is City being the machine that they always are, which scares me so much because they got Champions League, they got FA Cup, they've got these distractions. And I know, Tyler, you're going to say, yeah, they always do, and they still power through it, and they're the deepest team in the world. And then all of that may be true. But at a certain point, even machines break down. And of course, it's going to be the 1 year where I need this machine, this billion dollar petro billion machine to come through. This is the year that like it won't happen. That's my fear. Okay, Mitchell, what do you got for us?
A lot of prelude to me co-signing Tommy's top four. But this is a special Arsenal team. I have not felt this way about this club since I can remember supporting them. I'm gonna choose to believe in love and believe in hope and believe. So Arsenal are going to finish top of the league. I have absolutely no choice, and I couldn't call myself an Arsenal supporter in good consciousness if I were to sit here and tell you that City are finishing top of the league. I don't believe that. I really like deep in my plums don't. So
such a romantic.
I am guilty. It's Arsenal, City, Newcastle United. It's finishing the same way it looks right now.
This is gonna be so delicious when they fucking.
I know you're relishing in it right
Don't
now, but
jinx it, Tyler.
I'm glad we've got an optimist in here to make this that much more fun. Because if he was the same as Tommy and he was just being a man of reason, like, because Tommy's basically saying Arsenal just so that he can, because he knows he can't be considered a fan if he says anybody other than Arsenal either. But he knows it. Mitch went on this whole fucking poetic rant and
I'm a romantic. Yeah, absolutely.
No,
yeah.
you're just you're disillusioned with romance.
That's a big Venn diagram right there. There's a lot.
Love is just another drug that you've become addicted to, my friend.
Certainly has.
We come to the same conclusion, though, Mitch. That's all that matters.
Exactly.
All right. Well, needless to say, I got City finishing up top. In my unbiased, I'll take my bias hat off for the moment and say City finishes up top. Arsenal, I'll give them some credit. It's funny how roles have reversed. Like there were years not very long ago that Arsenal was an absolute dumpster fire. You guys, like 97% of your fan base was Arteta out. There was very little room for hope, even though you actually did have hope because you had that young core that has now, come of age. And Tottenham, we were beating City, beating Ajax, making it Champions League finals, and not look at us now. Look at us now. Talk about a role reversal. Oh, it's bad. Bad news bears. So I got City up top, Arsenal number 2. I do have to give you some credit. It has been an incredible season. Even if you don't win, I mean, it's still a pretty impressive run you guys have had. 3, I mean, I got Newcastle. And then 4, I'm kind of feeling like I have to go a different route because if we all say, United, which, they do perhaps look like the strongest team right now, but they are dealing with a lot of injuries.
2 games in hand.
A game in hand. They got that too. I'm going to say Villa. They've been playing well. It would. I'm a big Unai fan. I'm Team Unai at this point. So I'd like to see him finish fourth. I also said that if there was another team outside Newcastle that might threaten top six, I didn't say top four. It would be Newcastle or Aston Villa, and they certainly look like it. So I'm going to say Aston Villa. I'm going to go out on a limb. Now, relegation. This year's table is just wild. I mean, it seems like Southampton is dead to rights at this point, but like, I don't know if that's true. We got like, what, 5 teams within 5 points of one another right now. So Southampton is bottom with 24. Nottingham Forest is 19th with 27. Everton on goal differential, they've got 28 points, but on goal differential, they are below Leicester. Leicester's got 28 points as well. And then Leeds United is at 29. I would also throw Bournemouth in the mix still. I don't think that they're quite safe at this point, although the win against Tottenham certainly helped them. So, okay, let's go with Tyler. You want to go first?
Yeah. Go Southampton. I think Everton will actually slide beneath Forest, but Forest will end up getting relegated.
Okay.
I think Southampton are dead to rights. I think Southampton is one of those teams at this point in the season where, like, you just know what they are. Like, yeah, they could pick up a point or two, and they might pick up a win, but like they probably won't. We know who they are, and we know who they aren't.
What they're running. So their next game at home against Bournemouth is, that's do or die for them on Thursday. Oh, that's this. Excuse me. On Thursday, they host Bournemouth. That is an absolute do or die game for Southampton. If they don't win that, they're gone. Okay. So you got Southampton, Everton, Forest going down. Mitch, any disagreement there?
No. If we were doing power rankings in the way that we have done them, who wins on a neutral field, I wouldn't have Southampton down there just based on what we've just seen and experienced. But yeah, no, they're going down, unfortunately. Forest are going down, and then it's really hard to fathom Everton being relegated. It's hard to imagine that. I can visualize Leicester or Leeds going down way easier, but I'm just gonna agree. Yeah. I think Everton stay in 18th, though. I don't think they slip below Forest.
Tommy?
Yeah, I have the same bottom two and Leicester. Leicester plays Leeds and Everton in the next 2 games. I think that's the fate for Leicester. If they get 6 points out of that, they're safe. If they get 0, I think they're down.
Yeah, I think Everton escape. I don't know, I don't know if it's dice magic or whatever, but like I think Everton somehow find a way to stay up. I'm still really worried about Leeds. Like, very, very concerned. Some of their recent performances, they looked a little better, I'd say, against Fulham this past weekend, but the 6-1 to Liverpool, the 5-1 to Palace, those games back to back, that like shook my confidence big time in this team. I'm not going to pick them to go down because my heart won't let me, but I'm very concerned. I still think Bournemouth is in the mix. I've been saying for weeks that, like, man, this team is better than we, thought. We got to give them some credit, but I still think they're in the mix. I'm going to go, though, Southampton, Forest, and Leicester. I think Leicester fall below Everton. All right. Big week ahead. We got to talk about this game. Arsenal, visiting Man City. You guys are up 5 points. They have 2 games in hand. One of those, so I don't know who they play in the 2 games in hand, but 5 points, so 2 games in hand, they could be up a point essentially. But mathematically, you hold your future in your hands. What's your thought coming off of these draws? Coming off of sort of the way Arsenal's been playing, what's your level of confidence here, Mitch?
3 out of 10. If it's gonna happen, I want it to happen quick. I want it to be like Haaland in the 2nd minute, and then Mahrez in the 6th, and then De Bruyne in the 12th, so I can just like kind of get it over with. And part of this is Mikey's reverse psychology, but I'm not feeling confident. The way like you just look at City the way they play lately, and us coming off of what 3 draws. Oh God, no Saliba hurts. I'm not saying he's Maldini, but we are statistically way better with him back there. Rob Holding trying to cover Holland, like oh God, I'm getting
snickering in the background.
shaken up
Tyler,
thinking about it. That said, no, we'll come out 2-0 with the win.
okay. Tyler, I feel like you got something to interject there.
I mean, he's confident they're going to win the league, but he's a 3 out of 10 confident they're going to beat
No,
City.
no.
So like you're going to lose to City. You're going to lose to City, but you're going to win the league. Got it.
I didn't say we're going to lose. I said if we're going to lose, I want it to happen quickly and painlessly, or as little pain as possible. I think best case scenario, we come out of there with a draw. And that is like my romantic realism. That's what I'm telling myself, is that we're going to go to the Etihad and get a draw.
You know something? I want to also subscribe under the banner of romantic realism. That is, I'm gonna put that on my bumper now.
That's a term I literally just came up with. So we can post that and make t-shirts.
I love that. Let's do it. We back.
All right, so we got a 3 out of 10 from Mitchell. Tommy, where are you at on this game?
I think for me it depends on the lineup.
Yeah.
I really think he should just change a bunch of shit up and try to throw some sort of like tactical ring back at Pep, like Pep would do to every other coach in these big matches. And I think you have to risk something. And I think it's Rob Holding. Like, I hate picking one guy because it really hasn't been his fault.
No, but
it gives you a different look, and who you're playing, it could work out. So I think it really depends on what team he throws out there. I would love to see Trossard, Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus and Odegaard all in the same lineup. I think you
go for broke.
You gotta go for broke at some point. Or I want those 5 on the field for at least 30 minutes.
The desperation in this is so juicy.
Well, like if you can't defend against City right now with your best back 5, you have to try something different. You might as well just say, okay.
So you want to get into a shootout with them? You want to get into a shootout with them?
Our best form of defense is offense. We're just going to attack the shit out of you and control this game, and we're going to take it to you. I think you can't go to the Etihad and think, okay, we're going to play it safe for the first 45 minutes and see how the second half unrolls. No, go for broke.
Because Pep's not going to do that.
Yeah,
this is not going to be a boring first half.
If you guys choose to do that,
you're going to win a Premier League title. You can't like sit on your ass and expect it to be handed to you after 45 minutes.
Okay. I think whatever you think that they should roll out with is going to make Mitch's wish of.
So let's say if
painlessly in the first 12 minutes is going to happen.
If there's a wrinkle in this team, I'm going with like a 6. If it's the same team, I think I'm at a 3 or 4, because it's like you got to change something after 3 ties in a row.
I've heard rumblings of Ben White at that other center back and Tomiyasu at right back. I don't know what that would do.
Tomiyasu on one knee?
Is he hurt?
Yeah, he's out for the year. You mean Partey?
Okay, all right, never mind.
The one I've heard is Partey.
At right back?
Yeah, or Tierney and Zinchenko.
Mm.
Zinchenko just comes into the midfield anyway.
Yeah, Zinchenko plays as a midfielder, and Partey would end up there too. So what are we going to isolate 2 center backs back there with?
I mean, I think you gotta try something different.
Yeah, there's only so much we can do.
But yeah, the whole Saliba thing has been absolutely killer.
Tyler, listening to them come to these realizations in real time is beautiful.
I've thought about this stuff before.
They're so inside of their own heads and so lost.
I mean, listen, I'm laughing at him, but at the same time, I'm just crying on the inside, because where you're at in the league right now, it's just night and day versus the shitstorm that is Tottenham. So I will say,
if Arsenal loses the title, it's not coming down to this game.
No.
It's like how they lost out on top four. So 3 games before.
Yeah.
You have a chance to lose 3 games to City in the year and still be in pole position to win the league. I think you take that. But you tied Southampton twice.
I'd take that. I'll tell you that right now. I would absolutely take that. I think Mitchell or Tyler would do that too. Any other? Well, actually, quickly, prediction on scoreline. Mitch, you probably have what 1-1.
Yeah. Yeah, if we can, that's wishful romantic realism, but
Romantic realism 1-1. Okay. Tommy?
It's 3-1 someone. I don't know which way, because
That's the scoreline I got in my head too. I can tell you who I think.
both teams are scoring for sure. Yeah, I will say 3-1 Arsenal because I got to stick to what I'm saying, but I do think the scoreline is 3-1 someone.
He's a lot of romantic realism there, mostly realism. Okay, Tyler, what do you got?
Good news is that I can be both romantic and real about my answer, which is City 3, Arsenal 1.
I got 3-1 too. Arsenal has been a godsend to overbetters, by the way. You guys have just been putting bread on my table, so bless you there. But yeah, I think City, there's just too much there. There's too much. And this is the game. And if this goes off the rails somehow for this machine, I think it would be at this game. So Wednesday is a huge game. Oh, I can't wait unless you guys win, in which case, fuck my life. Any other games from the match day worth pointing out? Let's see what we got here.
Leeds Leicester tomorrow.
Yeah, that's huge.
And then if you want to go for the weekend,
Villa Fulham's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, especially for Villa, if they're going to
Spurs United.
Yeah, that's on Thursday. We're going to get waxed.
That would kill Spurs.
We're going to get waxed. We're going to get waxed. Our top, good. Just put us out of our misery in this top 4 nonsense, because we're just not we're not even a top 16. Arsenal Chelsea, is that this weekend?
That's May 2nd, Tuesday.
Oh, it's Tuesday. Okay, so it's the same match day, but it's not till Tuesday. Yeah. That's interesting. So we can talk about that next week. Okay. We'll leave it at that for now. I think United at Villa is actually kind of a big game on Sunday. Big week for United here, quietly. All right, let's go to rest of world. Is the Minuteman himself ready to hit and quit it with us, for us, in front of us, into our earballs?
Excuse me?
MLS hit and quit it minute. Here we go.
This is not quite a trap week, but it was a very fun week. All right, week number 9 of Major League Soccer play. Let's start on the banks of the Delaware River. Philadelphia Union and Toronto FC. Bob Bradley's side have drawn, I think, something like 6 games already this year. This is not a draw. This is a thumping at the hands of Jim Curtin's boys. 4-2 is the final score. Just really poor defending from Toronto FC all around. Cincinnati at home against Portland. Cincinnati have proven to be one of the better teams in Major League Soccer, of course, coming off of that drubbing at the hands of the St. Louis City. They bounced back at home with a big 2-1 win over Portland. Orlando City playing host to DC United. DC have been poor at the start of the season. Lewis O'Brien into the squad as of last week, and they make a big splash at Exploria. 3-1 is the final score. Benteke gets a great goal as well. Big win for Wayne Rooney and company. NYCFC at home against FC Dallas. No Jesus Ferreira in the starting 11, coming off of that goal for the U.S. men's national team against Mexico at the midweek. James Sands starts and plays almost every single minute, and Santi Rodriguez steals the show. 3-1 is the final score from Citi Field. Charlotte FC at home against the Columbus Crew side that typically has been playing very well at the start of this season, but Charlotte, for whatever reason, at home, they're able to take care of business against the Columbus Crew, who have been poor on the road at the start of the season. Really good goal from Karol Swiderski is the lone goal of Bank of America. New England at home against Sporting Kansas City. New England have been one of the best teams in the East. Sporting have been one of the worst teams in all of Major League Soccer. 2-1's the final score in favor of Bruce Arena's side. Montreal at home against a Red Bulls team that's obviously going through some stuff at the moment. Montreal with a 2-0 win and a late red card for Red Bulls as well, or late red card for Montreal as well. Nashville at home against LAFC, a game that everybody had their eyes on. Walker Zimmerman, coming off of his performance for the U.S. men's national team, gets subbed out in the 55th minute. A little bit of controversy here from Gary Smith and the Twitterville of Nashville. And about 2.5 minutes after Walker Zimmerman gets subbed out, Denny Bouanga scores the equalizer. 1-1 is the final score from Music City. Houston Dynamo 1-0 winners over Inter Miami. Inter Miami now on a 6-match losing streak, and there are rumors, just rumors at the moment. Veljko Paunovic, former coach of not only the Chicago Fire, but I believe Reading as well, is rumored to be taking the place of Phil Neville. 1-0 for Houston Dynamo and Benny Olsen's boys. That game was in Texas. Real Salt Lake at home against San Jose. Earthquakes have been playing some good football, but Real Salt Lake able to bounce back after their loss against FC Dallas last weekend. 3-1 is your final score in favor of Pablo Mastroeni's side. Colorado Rapids 1-1 with St. Louis City. That game was at altitude. Good point. If you're on the road and you're St. Louis City, you continue to be one of the best teams in the league, top of the Western Conference table. Seattle takes care of business at home against Adrian Heath and the Minnesota Loons, who are actually going to be traveling to Keyworth to take on none other than Tommy McGunner this midweek in US Open Cup. And then LA Galaxy at home against Austin FC. Big game. LA Galaxy needing a win. They finally got their first win of the season, and it comes out the hands, or I should say it comes at the expense of a Josh Wolf Austin FC side that has been struggling mightily. Atlanta United in Chicago was the lone game on Sunday. That game was on either Fox or it was on Apple TV. Atlanta at home against Chicago have typically performed extremely well and typically been perfect, and that is the case, but in bizarre fashion. Atlanta get the first goal, Chicago equalize in around the 75th minute, and then in the 98th minute of stoppage time, Atlanta send the corner at the near post. It takes a deflection and then bounces off of two different Fire players and eventually off the backside of Marin Holly Selassie for the own goal and the game winner in the 98th minute of stoppage time. And that would do it for week number 9 of Major League Soccer play.
Well done. Thank you, sir. Yes. That Fire last second goal, that hurt. That hurt. It's just they find new and special ways. They really do. Although the performance itself gave me some hope for the future. I feel like I've said that before.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I feel like I've said that before. All right. Let's go to US Open Cup. You teased it before. So we got some shout outs here. Tommy in Detroit. What day is that game? Tuesday or Wednesday? Tuesday. Okay.
Tuesday. Sorry, Tuesday.
Other shout outs, you're well versed, you're better versed in this than I am, Tyler, but we got the Chicago Derby with Fire traveling to technically Chicago House out at SeatGeek Stadium, which you can hear the lovely, I don't know what your voice, baritone of Tyler Terrans on the call if you tune into that. And any other games that look particularly enticing or worthy of shout outs at all?
I got some if you don't, Tyler.
Yeah, hit us with it, Tommy.
I wish it was the other team hosting, but Sporting KC, Tulsa Athletics. This would have been an all-time game if Tulsa Athletics was hosting. If anyone's seen that field, if not, go take a look at that. And then Cincy, Louisville, I was a part of that Open Cup game in 2019. That was a really good one back then. I'm sure it's going to be another good one this year. And then the Miami Classico, I think is what they're calling that. That's another one.
Few of these games are actually going to be on the Golazo network, like the 24/7 soccer thing that CBS just launched. They got the rights to a few games. So that game, the Miami Classico, will actually be on CBS. And some of the games, some of them aren't viewable, just so that people know at home. Like there are, like this isn't like
it's not last year where everything was on ESPN.
It's not last year everything's on ESPN Plus. Like for instance, the Fire are in charge of putting on their own broadcast or whatever it might be, or like the teams are in charge of it. So it's just, it's kind of wonky.
It's
anyway,
too bad.
Tommy,
it's unfortunate in that. Yeah. Any other shout outs there, Tommy? That's good.
I'm looking right now. I kind of like the ones where it's like there's multiple leagues involved. Like the Chicago one, besides it being in Chicago, I think is a really good one.
You called out the Dirty River Derby, right? Cincinnati and Louisville.
Yeah, I called out that one.
Yeah.
So that's all I got.
All right. I love the US Open Cup. It is unfortunate that I thought the setup with ESPN Plus last season was awesome. And so I don't know exactly what happened there, but it's unfortunate that, I think we're in like an awkward teenager stage with the tournament. Hopefully they sort of get something more stable moving forward. Let's see, Champions League. So we are down to the semifinals now. I was basically wrong on, well, not all of them, but I really did think that Napoli was going to go through. Wrong on that. And what was the other one that I got wrong? Google, why are you doing this to me?
Didn't you say that Benfica had a chance?
Yes, I thought Benfica was going to overturn it on Inter, and they did not. Some interesting games. That 3-3 Inter Benfica game was awesome. Napoli Milan, it was only 1-1, but that was quite a battle between them. Bayern City. The only thing that I take away from that was when Tuchel in the post game basically suggested that like they were the better team, like they could have gone through in that when they got absolutely manhandled by Man City in the first game, and City just sort of coasted in the second game. That was just absolutely ridiculous. And of course, Real Madrid just sort of coasted to a 2-0 win away at Stamford Bridge. So that brings us to the semifinals, which are not this coming week, but the week after, I believe, May 9th and 10th. So we got Real Madrid hosting Man City. It's obviously home and home, but Real Madrid and Man City on one side, and we got the Milans on the other side, AC Milan, Inter Milan. Anybody want to go out on a limb and say that one of the Milan sides has, a snowball's chance in hell, whoever comes through there?
Hell yeah.
Think so? One-off game, you mean?
One-off game in a
Yeah.
final, for sure.
I don't think so.
The Italian teams know how to defend too.
I was just gonna say I like Italian teams in one-offs, man.
Yeah.
You don't make it to the Champions League quarterfinal or semifinal for no reason. These like one-off game, anything can happen on a night in Istanbul,
But did Liverpool beat Villarreal in the semis last year? Or was that in the quarters? I think it was in the semis.
Semis. It was semis. Yeah.
It was the semi. Yeah, this isn't that. This isn't Unai's Villarreal. These are strong, blue-blooded Italian teams that have a long-standing history, Mr. Samuel. All right.
Sorry, I was on mute. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I will agree that you can't get to a Champions League semifinal with being, shit. But Inter and AC Milan, like, they just haven't been good this season. I know they've played better lately. Wasn't it Inter that boat raced Napoli not too long ago? So obviously, they're good teams. I just think whoever comes out of that city, Real Madrid, I would crown them. I don't think the Milan sides have a chance against one of those teams. Just me. Let's go to stoppage time. Very quickly, Ivan Toney's best bets. Anybody got something lined up for us here?
I do.
Mitchell definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah, I got an ill-advised parlay for you. I like both teams to score in Leeds Leicester. Both teams are fighting to stay up. Going to throw bodies forward. It's like you said, relegation teams this time of year got nothing to lose. Both teams to score there. Newcastle money line against Everton. I think they're going to Everton, but you still got them at minus 130 right now, which is good, especially coming off the ass whooping they just handed you guys. And then I have a Chelsea Brentford first half draw. Now this is a weird one. You got it at plus money right now, but Chelsea have failed to score in something like 7 of their last 8, and Brentford can draw them in the first half. Like my logic is not like bulletproof, but I can see that first half going into the halftime at 0-0. So all three together, you got plus 540. It's not going to hit, but tell me if you want.
Digging deep. I like it. I like the research that went into it. Okay. Plus 540 parlay. I don't know if Tyler's going to make you look like child's play with one of his.
Hopefully.
Oh, you bet your ass I am. I'm just finishing up my third leg at the moment. Please stand by.
Tommy, you want to fill in, or do you want me to?
I'm not well versed in this like you guys are. I would throw into Mitch's the Leicester-Everton game, both teams to score. Just the same thing, but another relegation team.
Okay. You got it. You got your math all worked out.
Yeah, we're good over here. All right, so we're starting out with a draw between Forest and Brighton. I like Forest at home, coming off of that game against Liverpool, where they probably thought they deserved a little bit more. Trap game for Brighton of sorts on the road. We're going with a draw there. Then Man City money line, obviously, don't need to explain that because they're just better than Arsenal. I don't need to explain it, but yeah, Arsenal are crumbling. And then over 3.5 goals in Bournemouth and Leeds at Bournemouth. So that's going to bring you to a grand total of plus 21.58.
21.
Not gonna hit, but it's, in the words of Mitchell Goulet, it's not gonna hit, but tag along if you want.
I love it. I love it. That might be your highest total so far. I don't think you've ever went 21.
No. There were some World Cup ones that I had that were outrageous.
Okay. All right. So I've been doing this the last few weeks, where basically I've been digging deep, doing the research, finding the over bets for you guys to bet on, and I'm back. I've been doing it. It's been treating me pretty well lately, so I'm sticking with it. I got 3 games on Friday, get the weekend started off right, and then we got 2 games on Sunday to close it out in style. So on Friday, first game is in Australia, down under. Adelaide and Central Coast Mariners. Give me the over there. Absolutely love that. Germany. Bochum plays Dortmund. And this was something I was going to talk about in the rest of the world, but I wanted to wrap it up quickly. Dortmund looks like a Bundesliga. They are playing like a Bundesliga champion right now. They are ahead of Bayern.
And Bayern or not.
That Bayern or not. If you saw Bayern play this weekend, you would absolutely understand what we're talking about. So we got Dortmund going to Bochum, but I think Dortmund's going to put a number on them. They can smell that Bundesliga title. So I got over with the Bochum Dortmund. Also in Germany, this time in the Bundesliga 2, we got Paderborn and Eintracht Braunschweig. That's another over 40 on Friday. Now we're going to skip over to Sunday. We got Genk hosting Bruges. That's in Belgium. They're now in the championship playoffs. Those teams both score goals. And then you got Ajax and PSV. And those teams score goals left and right. Eredivisie is awesome in terms of overs. So there you go. Those are the 5 best bet overs. Ivan Toney's best bet overs for the weekend. Adelaide, Central Coast Mariners, Bochum, Dortmund, Paderborn, Eintracht Braunschweig, Genk, Bruges, and Ajax PSV. Now
PSV just washed Ajax over the weekend.
Yeah, they score. Listen, Ajax is going to come out for revenge. PSV scores goals in bundles. There's absolutely goals coming right there. And by the way, the Eredivisie needs to get their shit in order in terms of like crowd problem. It's like the new France. The people are getting hit with lighters. There's beer being thrown on the field. They actually abandoned the game because a ref got hit with a glass of beer or something over the weekend. Yeah, Netherlands, get your house in order. Finally, last never least, GOAWs time. So Tommy had to dip out. What did he say? Okay, so here's Tommy's GOA for us. Napoli fans or Wrexham. But you guys will take that. Yeah, so leave Wrexham for us. Napoli fans for the, basically they went to Juventus this weekend and they beat Juventus on a last second goal, and they took a bus back to Naples, and there's all these videos the players shot from the bus of sort of the fans following the team bus in, like, I don't know, dozens if not hundreds of these little, the little Vespas or scooters or whatever. They're everywhere in Italy, and that is definitely a traffic hazard. If you go look at the videos, like, there's so many motorcycles with 2 and even 3 people on them following this bus. It's the dad in me was kind of like, that looks scary. All right, good go, Tommy, and thanks for hopping on. Mitch, who you got for us?
Yeah, it's the Pope. It's Pope Francis. He was gifted a kit recently. Can any of you guess, or if you know?
I do not. I have not heard of this.
He was gifted a Lisandro Martinez kit. So now the Pope is Argentinian. He was born in Buenos Aires. but he said that the player that he enjoys watching most play football is Lisandro Martinez, the Butcher. And so they gifted him like a framed kit. It's just you. If you had to pick a player for the Pope to love, it wouldn't have been him. But I'm very glad it was, because that's hysterical. Like, not, it wasn't a messy kit. It wasn't from the most popular Argentine person ever. It was of the Butcher. It was of United center back Lisandro Martinez, and I think that's hysterical from the Pope. I want to know, like, I kind of want to watch a game with him. He won't love my language, but I would love to actually get into how big a football fan the Pope is, because that's just funny to me to visualize a religious figure watching football like that, especially being a fan of such a player that is, Martinez,
the Butcher.
Yeah. So I think that's that brought a smile to my face this week.
I like that. Good call. Good shout. And I did not know that. That's what GOAWs is all about, Mitch. So well done. Tyler, what do you got for us, if anything?
I'm going with it's a bit of an abstract one here, so bear with me. And we've already talked about it today. But this is more of a rallying cry. The US Open Cup is back. Okay? We need to continue to keep this tournament in the forefronts of our minds, in the forefronts of our hearts, because this is not one of the only longest standing soccer tournaments in the world. It's one of the longest standing team sports tournaments in the world. And it had that run up until COVID. But still, these games are coming hot and heavy. This is March Madness on steroids, in theory. That's what this tournament is. It is every single level of soccer in this country. From amateurs, fucking Sunday league, okay? Teams that I play on have had opportunities to qualify for the US Open Cup. It's a grueling 4-round experience just to get into the actual tournament, but that's how early it starts. All the way up to 4th division teams, 3rd division. Like, this is it. And now some of them are playing against fucking 1st division teams. This is what America fucking loves, and there's no ties. It is a tournament. It's one-off. Single elimination. Let's fucking go. I'm pumped. There's gonna be some crazy shit. 2nd division team got to the final last year. Tune in when you can, and that's a problem that we can't tune into these games, but here I am still on the fucking rant.
I like it. I mean, like, I've quietly, I do say quietly, but I've tried to sort of pump the tournament up in my small little, way. But it is. You laid it out brilliantly. It's a great tournament. It's been around for so long. In terms of like romantic realism, this is it. Like, this is the best we got for US soccer. And I've been saying it for years. I think it's only going to get bigger. It does feel like we're taking a small step back this year with, the broadcast deals and what's going on. And that stinks, because, that and the COVID really feels like it may have disrupted some serious momentum, but just got to get that back and keep it going. So good shout on US Open Cup. There will be upsets, cup sets. There will be some Cinderellas. San Diego Republic was that last year. There were a lot of other ones, even bigger. Yeah. What did I say? Yeah.
San Diego. Oh,
jeez. Sacramento Republic.
You said Wales Vagina Republic.
I'm a dummy. Sacramento Republic was Cinderellas, and they were actually bigger Cinderellas that made it at least into the 3rd or 4th round last year. So, and I'm sure there will be this time. Okay, quickly, my GOAWs, because I actually have quite a few. I'm going to give out one. So these are honorable mentions for the most part. Emerson Royale's dad, for saying that he is, what he's done with Tottenham, and he's ready for Real Madrid. Okay, buddy. Okay. You're ready for Tottenham's U23 team. Also, shout out to Kazuyoshi Miura, a 56-year-old Japanese guy who is playing for Oliveirense in Portuguese 2nd division. 56 years old. This man he's been playing a professional soccer since, like, I don't know, we were all babies. So shout out to him. What a run. Also honorable mention, Wout Weghorst, he's a donkey. He's an absolute donkey on the field, but he took some of that donkey magic and he kissed the ball and handed it to Solly March, who then blazed his penalty over the bar, basically handing United the win in the FA Cup semifinal. So while he stinks on the field, he at least helps them, in other ways. So shout out to Veghorst for that. My actual GOA, though, for the week, I mentioned there was no hope for Tottenham. Well, here's a little kernel, just a small kernel. Tottenham are the U17 Premier League Cup champions, and it feels so good. We are champions at last. Yes, it's a cup, and yes, it's U17, but we won something. And God damn it, it's been a while, so that feels good. Shout out to the Tottenham's U17 team for bringing home the bacon. That's more than a banner right there, boys. That's a trophy. So shout out to them in a tough week, in a horrible week. Tough doesn't even begin to describe what this week was for Tottenham. They at least provided a small little sunshine, a ray of sunlight. So thank you to them. And thank you everybody for listening. Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tommy. You guys are the best. And we will see you guys next week after Arsenal is eliminated. See you guys then.